Welcome everyone. This is Lessons from the Field, and this is an interview format series of videos where we feature a diverse array of guests who have offered to share their career and professional journey. And today we're featuring Dr. Chris Sikes. Chris is a 1996 graduate from our PharmD program. And Chris is currently field director for cardiovascular metabolism, medical science liaisons for the medical affairs group at Janssen. And I'll be asking Dr. Sikes 6 questions, and these questions are designed to elucidate insights from his career and experience for the benefit of our students, alumni, and friends, and anyone else who might be watching the presentation. So let's go ahead and get started. Dr. Sikes, if you could just take a few minutes and briefly walk us through your career, give us a little of that history. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate you having me today. I started off my career as an inpatient clinical pharmacist at Lakeside VA there in Chicago. After that, I spent 10 years in hospital practice, working my way up through the ranks as a inpatient pharmacy supervisor, a clinical coordinator, and ultimately as a hospital pharmacy director at Central DuPage Hospital. Now, during that time, I developed a passion for pain and symptom management, as well as a love for teaching and precepting pharmacy students and residents. Those skills I developed in pain management helped me get my first role as an MSL almost 14 years ago at Janssen, and where I've been ever since. Flipping through different therapeutic areas, including anticoagulation, pain management, metabolics, gastroenterology, the typical stuff that you experience in industry, floating back as the business change. And currently, I'm a field director, so I lead a team of 11 awesome MSLs on the East Coast, where we focus right now on anticoagulation and metabolism.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Chris. You mentioned pain management is one of the things you're interested in. I wonder if you could just touch on some of the other things that have given you satisfaction over your career, whether in your current or past positions.
Yeah, I think it's some of the opportunities I had to build things from the ground up. At Central DuPage, I got to design and build a brand new pharmacy from scratch. That was a really, exciting process, being involved with that, and that seeing the net result of that and giving tools to the staff that really made their life easier in introducing some automation. That was really great, as well as developing the clinical program at CDH from scratch with a former UIC resident. Mandy Sabula, we developed and got the pharmacist out of the basement and really interacting with the physicians and the multidisciplinary team and really starting to make a real impact. Those are 2 things I was really proud of in pharmacy practice. And I think the other thing, and for more recent, is been the opportunity I had taking over this team now, leading them through some fairly chaotic times, I'll call it, with a lot of change. And and going from being a colleague to a new manager with leading people that you had before, and that's a tough thing to do. But the net result was I got a really awesome team right now that I have, and we're really functioning highly. And it's that brought me a lot, because that was going to be a big challenge for me.
Well, thanks. Chris, I think the folks that are listening, we have a variety of people who may tune into this, current students who are still planning their careers, and then recent graduates who might, be just starting out and kind of thinking about what experience they need to get to move forward. And then, of course, alumni who have been out longer, and others. Now, you've moved from a hospital-based position where you worked your way up all the way to director of pharmacy, and then moved into industry. I think that it's a little bit unique to go all the way up to director of pharmacy and then to move to industry. You see a lot of people that move a little bit earlier, maybe when they're clinicians and so forth. But we still have people who are very interested in that kind of transition. I wonder if you could just tell us, as you contemplate changes like that in your career, major changes, what are the things that you think about? What's the right timing to do that? And how do you kind of weigh the pros and cons of that?
I think that for me, I would call myself a little risk adverse in making big changes. So I really made only two big changes in my career, going on 24 years now. And that one was for what I considered a promotion, to go from the inpatient supervisor to clinical coordinator, and then to go from a director of pharmacy to industry, which was purely a quality of life move, really. So I think the thing is to know when not to make a change. And if things are tough at work, sit on it for a week or a month and think about it. If you really can feel compelled, it's time to make a change, and then be very purposeful with what you're looking for. The old adage of things not being the grass being green on the other side aren't always true if you jump and make things too quickly, and I've seen that happen, and plenty of people wanted to come back where they left. So I think I did it very purposely for in my career where I saw myself, for a clear opportunity for promotion with a solid basis for the job. And then, I had young kids, and quality of life thing where, when I was a pharmacy director at CDH, I was also still working in palliative care. So I was working two jobs. That was not a really good quality of life with having premature twins. So I made a change purposely to help with the home life. So I think, again, for me, it's really is to think about it. Don't jump quickly. There are people who are going to be more risk takers. I'm not young, so as I was, coming out of UIC, a little less willing to jump now. But if you're younger and you've got that ability to do those jumps and do things that are creative and new, I encourage people to do it. But I'm very purposeful with those changes I make.
Good. Well, thank you for that advice. I think that's very informative. Next question I want to ask you is more about the people or things that influenced you the most over your career. So all of us have mentors or other individuals who have influenced us, and I think it would be good to hear maybe from you what or who those people were, but also events or other things that might have influenced you as you moved through your career.
Yeah, and I think it key about a couple things. I think early on is when I was a student I did rotation at Lakeside VA, where I ultimately took my first job, and two of the preceptors I had there ended up being mentors for me early on in my career, and helped me really develop who I was as a pharmacist. Both of them being former UIC grads. That really helped me, start my career. And I think that's how I was able to, really build a passion for, pain management. I picked something and I went with it, and they helped me really, develop a program when I started at the VA. And then also some colleagues, while I was at Lakeside, it was an anesthesiologist, Jeff Katz, who really taught me a lot of the things I didn't know about pain management from pharmacy school, and helped me really excel my skills, as well as at CDH, a palliative care doc who taught me a lot of the stuff, again, that I still hadn't learned related to that. So they really influenced me a lot. And I think behind all that selection of me picking pain management was, seeing two grandmothers, deal with metastatic cancer and not do well with that. And that's how I picked that passion, and I ran with it.
Yeah, it sounds like selecting an area that really keeps you passionate about your field and wanting to go to work every day is important for you. So, along the same lines, as things change rapidly in medicine and pharmacy, oftentimes we hear from alums that, how do I get the additional training I need to do this, especially if they're thinking about a career move. How have you been able to keep on top of the changing knowledge base, grow either through experience or other ways that you've been able to stay on top?
Yeah, clearly keeping up is very important. The way that healthcare is changing right now as a pharmacist, as well as being an MSL. So that's those two were pretty much in line. And the ability to go to a lot of medical congresses right now is being exposed and seeing data released for the first time and talking to experts. That's really helped me to keep up from the clinical aspect of it. But I think where I've really grown, and it's where we don't necessarily learn as pharmacists, is the business and leadership skills. We don't learn about how to have difficult conversations with with colleagues or people who report to you. We don't learn how to necessarily manage multi-million-dollar budgets, and truly learn how to lead people, right? That to develop people to want to, to work for you. So I focused a lot of what I've done right now, both as, when I started to become a pharmacy director as well as a field director, on those leadership skills. So, if I was a younger man, I probably would go back and get my MBA, but I focused on leadership skills and doing certificate programs to get that stuff. That's really made a big difference, and we focus a lot on, digesting studies and learning how they were done. We've moved in towards, doing the same thing with leadership, books and things like that to help, and even as you're not a people leader, those skills are essential to help you navigate the world and business that we live in right now, as well as the hospital. So
great advice. Well, Chris, maybe kind of wrap this up. I'll combine the last two questions, but we already kind of talked about some of the things that excite you about your job and your past positions. Are there still things that you see in pharmacy going forward in the future that are exciting? And what opportunities are there out there, especially for our current students or younger graduates who are just getting into the profession? What are the opportunities that you see for them, or advice that you might have?
Yeah, I think the timeliness of the PharmD degree is a great basis. For me, it's been the launching board for all the jobs I've got, the promotions I've received. And I think that as business gets more, and healthcare gets more complex, that degree is going to help people no matter what. And as we get, care gets more complicated, I think pharmacists are going to be an essential part of that, of taking care of patients. So that part really excites me to know about that kind of like timelessness of the degree. But I think, things are growing. I mean, population health is becoming a huge thing, from not only from an industry, but from organized providers. And I think there's some roles that look different than, direct patient care that pharmacists can get involved in. Clearly industry is going to hopefully be around for a long time. And there's a lot of roles, within industry that pharmacists can do. I don't know. I just think that the options, even though that, times may be a little tough right now with the economy and things like that, I think that pharmacists are always going to be around, and we're always going to need them to navigate the complexities of providing the therapy for patients. So that for me is just, is exciting, because I know that, there's always going to be the opportunity for me to change my career again if I decide that I want to do that. And that basis, that the degree I got from UIC is always going to be the first thing that is going to show up as far as what I've done. So,
well, thanks, Chris. This has been a great time. I appreciate you taking time to share your experience and wisdom with our students and alumni. I think that those who will listen will get a lot out of this. Especially appreciate your optimism in terms of the profession and where it's going, and advice that you've given to our folks. So thank you for taking time to share with us today.
Glad to do it. Thank you for having me.